Good day. I'm talking to Dr. Oscar van Geerden, and he's a political analyst, and we're talking to him about the state of the nation President Cyril Ramaphosa delivered last week. Oscar, quite a bit of surprising elements in this last Sona.
No, absolutely, Isak. I mean, I think the DA congratulated the president because he took on board some of the key and pertinent issues that they raised and said they would like to hear him respond on. And I think he did that. Also, you know, it was widely accepted as a good Sona, excuse me, because he basically spoke for a very long time, because there were so many expectations and issues he had to deal with, and as a result it was longer than usual. But in the main, I think the key issues that stood out for me, one was, of course, the emphatic response that he gave with regards to consequence management in relation to the three different reports that was before him. The Sona Commission, part 1 and 2, the COVID PPE scandal report, as well as the July riots, in which the president, and this is what the nation definitely wanted to hear, made it unequivocal that he is in support of the recommendations, that he is encouraging the law enforcement agencies to do their work and to bring what he called the criminal syndicate to book. And I thought that is important, even though he did say that in June, July, he will come with a much clearer response to why and how they're going to deal with the recommendations. But I thought it important that he made that very clear. The second issue, of course, Isak, was around the economy and the fact that it is not growing at the required rate, and as a result, impacting hugely on unemployment in the country. And he spent quite a bit of time talking about youth employment and the various initiatives that has been taken to try and encourage young people, because he realizes and understands that that is the sector, the between 18 and 59-year-olds that is desperately trying to find work and is not getting the work. And as a result, talked about infrastructure development and various initiatives that they want to take there. And finally, he understood and said, even though we have these interventions, even though we are trying our level best to grow the economy, there are still a number of people that are really destitute, and as a result, need some cash in hand, and so extended the special COVID grant for another year, which I think will make a huge difference in the lives of millions.
Oscar, the other surprising point that he made was the one about the private sector. And apart from the fact that it was surprising, or which made it quite surprising, is the reaction of some ANC members towards that point, as well as the EFF. It took a lot of courage to do that, given the circumstances the president is having within the ANC.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think let's just make this very clear. The ANC for the longest time have encouraged the country to be a developmental state. And a developmental state by its very nature is an interventionist government, interventionist state. In other words, the government plays an active role in the economy to try and create employment, to try and alleviate poverty, and so on. But Having said that, Isaac, the truth of the matter is, in most Western democracies, in most constitutional democracies, the job of the private sector is to create employment, is to create jobs. That is not actually the job of a government. Government is supposed to make sure that there's an enabling environment, an enabling legislative environment, conducive conditions in order for the private sector to actually create those jobs. And yes, I think that the president clearly made an acknowledgement that after many, many years, we have seen attempt after attempt. We can mention from GEAR to ASGISA to a new path, etc., etc. Number of policies, the National Developmental Plan. These were all economic strategies and policies to try and create employment, to get the economy going. These have not always worked in the ways that we envisaged. And the president is making an appeal to say, guys, for the longest time, everyone, including the private sector, tried to give the impression that government must create jobs. And I think for the first time, the president is saying we need to do it in partnership.
But that doesn't make him very popular within certain sections of the ANC. And the question is, will the president survive this bold step that he made in his State of the Nation address?
Well, you know, the Communist Party and COSATU and perhaps a number of elements within the ANC might disagree. You know, Isaac, the ANC has always been a contested terrain. We very rarely sing off the same hymn sheet. Hence, we have these factions and so forth. But I don't think it's such a bold thing, quite frankly. I think that, those that have a problem with that statement must then give us alternatives and say, what does government do that it hasn't already attempted over the last 20 years to try and create a growing economy and employment? Because we really have ticked all the boxes. And so if they can give us some realistic, workable plans, then we will retract the statement. But at the moment, I think the president is saying to the private sector, unless we do this in partnership, we are not going to get out of this problem.